The hallway outside the intensive care unit buzzed with the low hum of machines and the quiet shuffle of nurses. Daniel Cole, the hospital's janitor, moved through it with weary eyes and a mop in his hand. His shirt clung to him, stiff, old, patched at the shoulder with a different shade of blue. Every morning, he rose before dawn to get his daughter, Emma, ready for school before coming here. Every night, he returned home smelling faintly of bleach and loneliness. That morning had been heavier than most. His little girl had come down with a fever, and he'd left her with their elderly neighbor. His mind wasn't at ease, but bills waited for no one, not even single fathers with sick children. Just before noon, chaos rippled through the quiet corridor. A surgery had gone wrong. An emergency had drawn every available staff member into the operating room. Daniel, though not a nurse or doctor, lingered nearby, ready to help with what little he could, fetching supplies, cleaning, carrying trays. When the surgery finally ended, a woman in a pristine white coat stepped out of the room. Her hair was pulled tight, her expression unreadable. Everyone in the hospital knew her, Dr. Elena Matthews, the CEO and chief surgeon. She was the kind of leader who never raised her voice yet somehow commanded the air around her. As she stepped into the hall, her eyes met Daniel's for a fleeting second. Then she frowned. "Mr. Cole," she said, her tone softer than expected. "You're bleeding." Daniel blinked, confused. He looked down to see a thin crimson line just below his collarbone. He must have scratched himself while moving equipment earlier. He laughed it off, embarrassed. "It's nothing, ma'am. Just a scratch. I'll wash it off." Before he could say more, Elena stepped closer, her brow furrowing. In one swift motion that made every nurse freeze, she reached out and tore the upper part of his shirt open at the seam. The sound of ripping fabric echoed in the corridor. Daniel's eyes widened, shocked, as the CEO of the hospital stood inches from him, holding the torn edge of his janitor's uniform. The hallway fell silent. Then, her expression changed, from stern professionalism to something raw and almost trembling. A scar ran across Daniel's shoulder, faint but distinct, two curved lines forming a small, uneven crescent. Elena's hand went to her mouth. "Where did you get that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Daniel stammered. I don't really remember. I was in an accident years ago." "Why?" Her eyes filled with tears she didn't try to hide. "Because I gave that to you." Confusion swept over him. "What do you mean?" She took a shaky breath. 18 years ago, I was a surgical resident in Chicago. There was a car crash. A young man came in, half-conscious, protecting a small baby with his own body. He wouldn't stop asking if the baby was okay. I operated on him. He disappeared before he fully recovered. The scar, I stitched. Daniel's mind reeled. "That was me," he murmured. "My wife had just died in that crash. Emma was the baby." For a long moment, neither spoke. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and somewhere down the hall, a machine beeped steadily, grounding them both in the present. "I remember you," Elena said finally. "You were the one who thanked me and promised you'd raise her to be kind. I never forgot that." Daniel swallowed hard. "I didn't recognize you. You were younger then, and I didn't think you'd remember someone like me." Elena smiled faintly. "I remember everyone whose life crossed mine that deeply." The hallway's silence softened, filled now with the weight of shared memory. She took a small step back and glanced at his torn shirt. "I'm sorry," she said, almost laughing through the emotion. "That was impulsive." Daniel chuckled quietly, still stunned. "I don't think anyone's ever torn my shirt in gratitude before." The tension broke, replaced by something lighter. She motioned for a nurse to bring a first aid kit and personally cleaned the small cut on his chest. Her touch was gentle, but her eyes stayed distant, lost in thought. After she finished, she looked at him again. "You said your daughter's name is Emma?" "Yes." "She's 11 now. Smart, a little stubborn. She's my whole world." "Bring her to the hospital sometime," Elena said softly. We're opening a scholarship program for staff families next month. I'd like to meet her. Daniel blinked, unsure what to say. Gratitude welled up in his throat, but words felt too small for the moment. Thank you, Dr. Matthews. As he turned to leave, she called after him. Daniel. He paused. I wasn't supposed to be in that surgery today, she said. Something made me step in at the last moment. Maybe it wasn't a coincidence. He nodded, meeting her gaze. Maybe it never was. That evening, when he returned home, Emma was waiting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, coloring in her sketchbook. He sat beside her, kissed her forehead, and for the first time in years, felt something shift inside him, a quiet sense of closure, a strange peace. The next morning, a new shirt waited for him in his locker. A crisp uniform with a handwritten note tucked inside. To the man who once saved a life with love alone, E.M. Daniel smiled as he buttoned it up. The hospital lights flickered to life, and somewhere in the distance, Elena walked the same halls, carrying the memory of a promise kept long ago. What began with a torn shirt had mended something far deeper, two lives once separated by tragedy, now gently reconnected by fate.